The Solar Pack are the feral hunters of the Imperium, and to defeat their enemies they use an aggressive style of combat reminiscent to the hunting techniques of the wild beasts. Whilst the Marines and the Force work better with the aid of wolves, the wolves themselves seem to have minds of their own, and sometimes it seems that the wolves rule the Marines and not the other way around. Nevertheless, whether deployed in a Zone Mortalis sector or out on an open battlefield, the speed and ferocity of the Solar Pack is nigh unmatchable, making this force a force to be feared in any circumstance. So, I'm actually joined here today with the owner of this army, Croydon. Hello, Croydon.
Hello.
How's it going?
Not too bad, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So,
Good.
What army is it that you do?
So, I'm currently doing the Space Wolves, which I've called the Solar Pack.
What is it that made you choose this army?
So here at Strategic Painting, we're moving more towards Horus Heresy gaming. So I looked at the different Space Marine legions, and this was one that really stood out to me. I go by the look of the models more than the certain models' abilities, just as I'm quite new. So I tend to go by the appearance of the models more than anything. And I really liked the Wolf element and being able to really hone in on the creative side of the painting with it as well.
Yeah, so while we're sat here talking, guys and gals, we've actually got some of Croydon's models out in display. I'll also put the link on the podcast for the gallery section of Strategic Painting's website, so you can actually see what we're looking at. But in my hand now, I've actually got a Dreadnought where Croydon painted it up to quite a nice pale sort of blue colour, didn't you? What is it that?
Yes.
What was something for this force that you had to take? What was something you had to have in this army?
So I did really like the wolves, and that was something that I started off with. I think the first thing that I painted for this army was one of the cyber wolves, which I made really cool, and I think it was from that kind of spiraled into making this the army that I wanted to choose and wanted to game with. So the wolves are a big thing that I wanted to incorporate into. When it comes to the gaming, they're not the best. Maybe that's just because of the way that I play, but I definitely wanted to have an element of those in my army, alongside vehicles and troops as well.
Yeah, nice. Well, when we've actually played some games, you've actually done quite well with them. They are one of the more powerful armies, especially sort of with combat, and their Primarch's one of the best at combat, I would say. Sort of along with like the Lion and Angron, very much a very ferocious fighter for sure. What was it that you prefer in the game that made you choose the Space Wolves?
I think for me, shooting is kind of the go-to natural response. It's kind of easy, you know that you're more likely to hit and do damage, but I really wanted to just try and develop my in-gaming skills, particularly with the combat phases, and I think this is the perfect army to start with to kind of hone in on those skills and see how well I can do with an army in the combat phases.
Yeah, for sure. And when we played a game, Dark Angels versus Space Wolves in Zone Mortalis, didn't we? And it was very much in the combat phase. You sort of came into your own, and your Space Wolf Marines, your Grey Slayer packs, just sort of, it's that extra attack for charging. You sort of really did pound in, and give me a new one, didn't you? You sort of.
Yeah, I think that was the realization that, to rely solely on, I should have a pure shooting army because it's easier and the rules I can kind of get behind. It was nice to be able to see results coming from melee and combat and things like that, which was something that I kind of shied away from in the past games that we've played together. So yeah, that's definitely something more that I want to incorporate. So whether or not that's just adding some more characters, wolves, things like that, which that'll be good going forward, and not just vehicles, which I tend to go for.
Well, I know that I painted quite a bit of this army for you, just purely to sort of help you clear the backlog so we could play with finished models. But you've put together a couple of models of your own that you've painted. You mentioned the Cyber Wolf that you painted earlier. You've also painted a Land Raider, and you're halfway through a Land Speeder, if that's right?
Yeah, so I did obviously want to have vehicles in the army, as would kind of anybody. So I tried my hand at painting a Land Raider, which is the thing that I've just got a few bits that I need to finish off, but I really did enjoy kind of having a big model to put some work and some creativity into, and it's come out quite well, and it really definitely fits the theme, and it all goes well, and looks uniformed with the rest of the army as well.
So if you had to pick, what would you say your favourite character is for this force?
I would have to say that I'm not too good with the names. I still have to kind of jog my memory with it all, but I do really like the Psyker that I've got.
The Wolf Priests?
Wolf Priest, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Just because I've not really played a lot of games with a psychic element, and I do think it adds that little bit extra to each game, and so I'm certainly enjoying using them. I think what would be good and beneficial for my army is to add a few more. I don't know what the rules are to add in characters like that and how many you can have, but certainly if I can have a few more, that might work even more in my favour.
So yeah, you definitely want to go against the Council and the Edict of Nicaea. As a Custodes player at heart, I know for a fact that I will really struggle if you decide to go a bit more down the psychic route.
All the more reason.
But then at the same time, if you go too much down the psychic route, it just makes me question whether you should have done Thousand Suns. Obviously, with Magnus doing nothing wrong,
there's still time.
It is an army that I would expect someone like you to heretically do. You're playing a loyalist legion that's on the verge of chaos itself anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you decided to become a traitor. But yeah, so what is it that where do you see this army going next? What's the plan for this army?
The first plan and the kind of main plan is to finish painting everything that needs to be finalised. So whether or not that's the kind of little touch-ups on some of the vehicles, some of the characters, or putting some transfers just to make it a bit more personalised. Once I've dealt with the stuff that I've already got, I would like to then expand it. It's definitely an army that I'm enjoying playing with, which is the main thing. So it's certainly something I want to look at expanding and making bigger. So the next steps will be to buy some more models.
It might be good for you to maybe look at allying in a knight or something a little bit bigger. You've never painted something that big, I don't think, have you?
I haven't, no.
No,
so
I think the Land Raider is the biggest thing that you've actually done. But yeah, it would be nice actually maybe if you did have some big heavy armour, because we have played a couple of games, and we'll talk about this in another podcast, but we have played a couple of games where you've used the biggest things in Warhammer. Do you want to
Yes,
reminisce?
They were thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I had first-hand experience at using a Warlord Titan, and I don't think there's any going back from that now. Once you go down that route, you don't want to go back. So I think next on the card, to be totally honest, is getting myself one of those, so I can put my own personal touch on it and defeat anything that comes in my
path. Well, let's win the lottery first. Hey, how about that? Let's
it's not something you can just go pick up on the shelf, is it really?
We do have 2 Titans in strategic painting, 2 Warlord Titans. We've got the Ordo Sinister pattern, Tenebrae et Spiritus, and we have the Mars pattern, which is Morilet ad Mortem, which is the one you used for the Fire Wasp. But we'll talk about that in another podcast. That'll be fun to cover another time. But so we've sort of rounded up your army, what you started with, what you enjoyed about them. Is there any other armies you could see yourself potentially doing this year? Obviously, you've got your hobby goals for this year, but are there any other armies that you could see yourself maybe looking at?
I have kind of had a look at different ones, and I was, undecided for a while about what I want to go for. And I think I like the look of the Blood Angels, which are quite nice, especially with the ones with the wings.
The Sanguinary Guard for 40k, but obviously we were talking about using them for Dawnbreakers instead, because the Forge World models are very nice, but you preferred the wing aesthetic, and if you took Sanguinius, it's wings instead of jetpacks, including jetpacks.
And I think, obviously I'm not too kind of cut into what you can take and can't take legally just yet. I will get there, but I think the wings and stuff like that would be a nice painting challenge for me, because I do like to be creative with my painting and kind of step outside the box a little bit. So I think that was what I was drawn to the most. But I think for now I've got an army that I am enjoying, so I think I'll kind of progress with that for now and look at another army once I'm happy and content with this one.
Maybe we should get some more games in then and see. Just maybe if I keep playing Dark Angels against you, I'll make you hate them and join over the Dark Angels side. Or maybe I might use my Thousand Suns against you, just so you can really feel how Psychic Powers hurt.
Well, we have got a game obviously scheduled in for this afternoon, so we'll let everybody know how that goes. I don't know what army you're taking.
I've not decided yet. I'll let the fates decide.
So obviously I'll win that, but we'll just confirm later.
Yeah. All right then. Well, thank you very much for joining us here today, Croydon. And we'll keep you guys posted. I think the next podcast I'll be talking with Minion, and I'll be taking you guys through his plans. Obviously, he's the hobby butterfly with the converting and the ideas that he goes for. So I'll catch up with you guys soon, and I'll be on the call with Minion. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.